playing, from taking a swing and trying to hit that shot. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't, you know what? There'll be another opportunity. And that's kind of the philosophy, the mantra we're taking here today with doing our live stream here with the Mod Golf podcast. I'll just wait a couple more minutes here because people don't know that we're quite started yet, but that's okay. We'll keep going. Well, if you're like me, you were probably glued to your TV yesterday or somewhere on a screen to watch the Masters at some point. It's interesting. I'm in the golf industry. I stumbled into it 10 years ago, as a lot of you know, and have been doing the Mod Golf podcast for over 7 years now to build community and really connect myself with the golf industry and just people that just love golf, want to grow the game, and want to make it more welcoming, want to make it more inclusive. Love that technology piece, the innovation side, the entrepreneurship side, all those good things that I embrace and that I love. But I don't watch a lot of golf. You think, geez, I'd be glued to the set every single week for the PGA, or maybe even live if you can actually find where that's being broadcast these days. But I don't watch a lot of golf, but I do make a point of watching all the majors. Plus one, I watch the Players and maybe one or two other tournaments. But I love to play, and I really love to support the industry itself, this $100 billion a year industry that I've had the good fortune of now becoming a part of, and putting together the Mod Golf YouTube channel here, which we did a couple of years ago, which is an extension of the podcast, which, hard to believe, over 7 years. We're coming up on our 7-year anniversary in May here, because we launched in May 2017. Gosh, almost 200 episodes in now, and that's the gratitude I have for the people that I've been connected to, that I've met. I say this with all sincerity, that of the 180 episodes I have done, I consider the guests being 180 plus micro mentors that I now have. I've learned something from each and every person that I've had on the show. It's made me a more enlightened person. It's made me, I think, a more diverse person in the way that I think about things. And I would say I've got dozens of people now that I didn't know beforehand that I consider very, very good friends, and have that good fortune of being connected to this community. So that is one of the main inspirations, I guess you can say, for why I keep going and doing this, because putting podcasts together, I have friends that do it and research this quite a bit, that it's hard. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of effort, and there is that dip after you've done one episode or 5 episodes or 10 or 20, that you may not have whatever your expectations are of what success is, and you give up, and you think you haven't reached that, and that you've perhaps failed. And one thing I learned very early on in entrepreneurship, and also with doing a podcast, is really looking at what success is and what you consider that to be, and the milestones that you reach along the way, and to celebrate those milestones. And I think a lot of people get frustrated thinking, or disappointed with themselves, that they have failed. The fact they don't have whatever hundreds and thousands of downloads per episode, that they don't then have the ability to have a podcast as a way to make a full-time living, which is not why I got into it. Yes, we do generate some revenue off the Mod Golf podcast to get it close to being financially sustainable here. But that was not the reason why I created it in the first place. The reason was really that North Star was, once again, to create community around golf, around innovation, around the technology, around what was new, and the entertainment pieces. And for those of you that don't know the backstory with why I created that, or even the backstory with myself, with I guess maybe I should take a step back here and introduce myself for those of you that don't know me. And my name is Colin Weston, and I am the host and the creator of the ModGolf podcast. And the ModGolf podcast since day one, and the reason we did it, or even the tagline, which has not changed. And the tagline, which I open every single show, every single episode with, is I speak with the entrepreneurs, the innovators, the disruptors, and the influencers who are shaping the future of golf. And I do my best to stay in that lane. I don't talk about the PGA Tour. I didn't do an episode on a Masters preview this week because that's not my strength. And there's other people out there, people that I know and I see in the podcast space and the broadcast space. They have way more resources than I have, and they do a way better job of that. So I try not to be everything to everybody, because as I've learned, then you end up diluting yourselves and you kind of end up being nothing. So I really try to stay in that lane where we talk about innovation, what's new, the future of where golf, the game, and the industry are going. And it's been very interesting on this journey that when I had the idea for the Mod Golf podcast, so this was back in 2016, which was something that I had in my mind for a little bit of time. Had other friends in the entrepreneurship space that had podcasts. A good friend of mine out of Toronto that had a podcast in the business space and the business growth space, and was watching what he was doing and seeing the reasons why he was doing it. Once again, it was to create community and a bit of a marketing funnel, I guess you can say, kind of this long-term growth of connecting with people, cultivating trust, becoming a bit of a thought leader in the space, in his case with on the business side. And I had been in the golf industry for about 3 years at that time. The first venture that we put out there, the way we kind of stumbled into that, was something that we created back in 2013 after decades in my career in architecture and sport architecture, working at that Olympic game level of venue and stadium design, event design, and becoming quite good at that and really loving that, but not wanting to stay in the architectural profession for the second half of my career. So this opportunity opened up because we were just looking, observing, seeing where pain points were, what was not working in the golf industry, even though I knew nothing about it at the time. Seeing that golf was on the decline in 2013, that rounds were down, millions of people were leaving the game, equipment sales were down, courses were closing in the US and in Canada and all over the world, uh, and golf was struggling. So what we came up with was an event which we called Ripped Links. So based on our design, event design and architecture design and ability to put these things together. So we created a gameplay format that took the best elements of golf, but also looked outside of golf. And as an entrepreneur, I've learned that over time that that's what you need to do. You're not creating something from a blank piece of paper. You're not, when you talk about innovation, you're not creating something that's never been done before. You're looking at trends and patterns, even outside of the industry that you're involved with, to see what resonates, see what's working and what is successful. And we did exactly that. So we had a background in action sports also, not only loving to snowboard and skateboard and surf and those type of things when I was younger, but also watching what was going on with Red Bull, for example, and X Games and Dew Tour, and these were trending upwards. So we said, hey, why don't we make a golf meets X Games type of event? And that's exactly what we did with Rip Link. So if you can imagine, without showing some visuals right now, that you can imagine American Ninja Warrior, 16th hole at the Phoenix Open on steroids, drop in for 2 or 3 days in an urban setting, whether it's downtown in a city, a beach like Huntington Beach, and just having this event with the music and everything else that was going on. So we did that for a couple of years. Great journey. I'll have to come on and tell you that story separately on another live stream that we have. But ultimately, we had some ups and downs and met all kinds of people in the industry, almost got funded for millions of dollars to make this thing happen back in 2014. Went to the PGA show for the first time when we really had no right and no reason being there. We literally snuck in the back door as wedding crashers, which was also kind of exciting. But we also connected with a lot of people out there. So with that, one of the key takeaways from that is we didn't wait for everything to be perfect. We knew almost nothing about the golf industry and how things work. And if we would have waited to figure that out or felt we didn't know enough and we shouldn't be trying that, I wouldn't be here right now talking to you, because this journey in entrepreneurship and life, as you know, is not a straight line going up. It's kind of all over the place. And that's one of the main lessons that we learned from that. So with Rip Links, even though with Adidas TaylorMade and the story behind that of meeting them, of almost getting funded and them wanting to come on board in 2014, and then getting introduced to the people at Topgolf in 2015, and they were going to acquire us and they were going to invest in what we did, and that didn't quite happen. But all the other good things that came out the other side of that, the lesson that I learned from that in life and in entrepreneurship, and even as I apply to my very average 14 handicap golf game, is just keep moving forward. Just keep trying, see what works. And something works, do more of that. If it doesn't, a little less of that. Try some new things, discard the things that don't work. And that's what I found. And just kind of keep moving forward here. And in a way, that's exactly what we're doing here, or what I'm doing with this live stream. I had a lot of apprehension about doing this, even though some people may think that well, I've done, like I said, almost 200 episodes in the Mod Golf podcast. We have the YouTube channel, which we've got almost 200 videos on there now. So you might think, hey, you know what? This is no problem. It's a breeze. You can just do this. But I was quite anxious about this because I didn't know if it's something that people would want and if it would be successful. And once again, what is the success criteria? Not even knowing what that is. I was just getting in my own way on this. And then I started to research this the last couple of days as far as on YouTube and how to put a live stream together, and went down this rabbit hole that they have, you know, all these other add-ons and ways that you can create a show that is very professional with multiple screens and motion graphics and all these other things. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, I need to learn all this, and I don't know all this, and what I'm going to do is not good enough. So maybe I should not do this today. And I was even thinking for a moment, is like, nope, not going to do it today. I'm going to cancel this because I'm not ready. And then I took a deep breath and said, you know what? I'm getting stuck in my own head again, where I've just almost talked myself out of doing something because I'm thinking it needs to be something that it doesn't need to be. So I took a deep breath and said, you know what? Let's keep it simple, just like you should do if you're an entrepreneur, with what you call a minimal viable product with your, in the golf space, if you're creating a physical product or an experience or an app or something, whatever that is, keep it simple. And in my mind, for that hour, I got away from that. And then I said, you know what? Let's just make this happen. And even today, putting this out here, I see we've got 6 people on the show right now. I didn't worry about, oh, geez, well, if I don't have 100 people on or 200 people or whatever crazy number in my head I figure is a success, I shouldn't do it. It's like, start small, get some traction, start to have a conversation, and just go from there. And even just keep it super simple, like we're doing right now. We've just got me talking right now and recording this, and then we've got the chat open. And by the way, I see Steve Fluke has jumped on here and said that he's here. So yeah, anyone else that's jumped on here, like I said, I can see we've got 6 people on right now. Why don't you introduce yourself? Let me know what you're doing. Oh, we got Tom. So we got a previous guest on there too, Tom Naramore. I have not talked to you in some time, my friend here. So this is great. So like I said, once I start to develop this a little bit more, the plan is then I will be able to invite you on, share video. So that'll happen in the next couple of weeks. Eventually, I'm going to have these every single week. I think I'm going to keep it nice and simple and consistent. I've learned that in the past, that if I do it, let's say Monday morning, I'm in Vancouver, so 9 a.m. Pacific, which is noon Eastern. So everybody knows when it's happening. Yes, Tom, I agree, my friend. It's been way too long. We need to catch up here. I'd love to have you on the show. I think this is going to be the format, that I'm not just going to be me just rambling, talking to the screen here. I do want this interactive here on the show here. So So yes, in the future, Tom, I'd love to have you on, pop on, and give us an update of what's going on with all the good things that you're working on. Steve, I know you and I have met many times at the PGA show. We've talked back and forth of having you on the show. I think this could be a great platform for you also to get on, so you can kind of quickly share with a couple of minutes here with our audience. And also the great thing too is we're recording this, so we will have this on our YouTube channel. So I will be able to promote this afterwards. So we're able to create more content as we go. Okay, so I see Tom. Tom has our first question ever on our Mod Golf YouTube live stream. Let me have to read this. So Tom wants me to talk about my views on golf entertainment growth. Flash in the pan, or will it be the next big thing? Tom, good question. Well, I do have, a bit of experience in this space, not only the ventures that I'm working on, but also the work I've done over the years through our company Reviver Sport Entertainment with our own ventures, the people I've had on the show that are, whether it's from Topgolf, in the putting space, uh, all these things, these off-course experiences that we're calling them, and even on-course experiences now where you're amplifying the entertainment factor once again to make golf more welcoming and fun and more inclusive. So I think the next big thing, I think it's kind of already here. And what I was talking about earlier with Rip Links, if you guys were already on it before, I've learned this in entrepreneurship. We look in the rearview mirror now and say, well, why didn't that hit the way we had hoped it? And even though we were super close a couple of times, like I said, to get funded or acquired in the 7-figure range, but it's all about timing quite often. And I've researched this in entrepreneurship as far as the success criteria of whether it's an Airbnb or an Uber and why they're successful. And yes, they've got the team in place, they've got the funding, they've got the right business value proposition in place. But ultimately, and venture capitalists have said this, and I watched a YouTube TED talk on this, and the number one success criteria is timing. So for us, I know looking back with Rip Links at 2013, 2014, it was just too early. Topgolf wasn't a thing yet. The technology yet wasn't in place like we have now to gamify what's going on, what Tiger and Rory are creating, which is now a year delayed, but they're going to have that next year with their, I think it's, I'm going to get that wrong, is it TDR or TLR with their league that they have? That's just going to amplify the entertainment growth of doing the equivalent of Monday Night Football of the Monday Night Golf that they have within that stadium. So yeah, Tom, I think 100% that it is not a trend or something that's going to go away. This is here to stay. I don't have the exact number, but I think last year was the first time that the number of people that attended what they call off-course golf experiences, whether it's Top Golf, whether it's mini golf, putt-putt, whatever you want to call that, indoor or outdoor, now with the Puttery and Putt Shack, and now you've got 5-iron Golf, who I just had their founder on one of their co-founders recorded last week, and that's going to release that episode 2 weeks from now. X Golf, this space is just growing. All these independents also out there with these indoor golf facilities that have, yeah, 5-iron type or X Golf type of environments where you've got the hitting bays, you've got leagues. So it appeals to experienced golfers and more accomplished golfers, but it also appeals to the non-golfers, just like Topgolf does. So yeah, last year, I believe the numbers were, it was the first time that the number of people that participated with off-course golf experiences outstripped the number of people that actually played rounds of golf. And even though the rounds of golf are still growing, and that's a great sign too, that it's healthy, but it's interesting that there is this balance too. And a lot of people have talked about the Top Golf type of experiences being the gateway for golf. And you get through that funnel of people that have never played before and they have a positive experience, that not everyone, but some of those people will then want to have an on-course experience. And whether it starts with pitch and putt or an executive course, and I play a lot of pitch and putt, and I've got another video coming out on YouTube that I'm just editing right now that is a pitch and putt experience here in Vancouver. And I encourage everybody to play pitch and putt, and that counts as a golf experience. And it's a great way for people that don't play the game, because it's all those reasons, all those pain points why golf has been on the decline, well, was for a while, The fact, as we know, it takes a long time. It's hard to learn. A lot of the rules are like, what is that? I don't, they're complicated and need to condense that down and simplify that. So that's really working out quite nicely now. So yes, that's a very long-winded answer there, Tom. But yes, I think the opportunities we have here uh, with off-course experiences, then as a gateway for the on-course experiences, uh, are fantastic. To have these steps or stages as you go. A couple of weeks ago, too, actually, to start off season 15 of the Mod Golf podcast. The two guests I had are the co-founders of T36 Golf, and they have what's called a double loop. So it only takes up half of the land. It's about 110, 115 acres. So it looks like a 9-hole layout, but every hole has 2 greens and 2 tee boxes. And it's a nice tight configuration. It takes like 3 hours and change to play, but it's still a full golf experience. So it compresses it down. The sustainability piece there, as far as what you require for maintenance, uh, uh, water, all the things as far as you need to maintain that course, and fertilizer, everything else, that they've reduced that down to half. And that's a very positive sign. And that affects the bottom line there as far as a business goes. Okay, looks like we have some more here. Okay, Tom, let's see what you're saying. I agree. Gamification is growing as it seems like a great inclusion for golf for the non-golfer, 100%. And that's, as I just touched on there, that yes, having those experiences that are less intimidating, and you can go with friends. And when you combine, Topgolf learned it. It seems like a simple formula now, but no one was doing it at the time, where you combine music, you combine food, some drinks, and shared collected memories with your friends, whether you're actually laughing at them or laughing at yourself when you're not doing that well, or you're hitting a great shot. It's very much like the bowling lane experience, or other sports that have kind of figured that out and applied that to the formula. So yeah, Topgolf has figured that out a while ago, and now with the expansion, whether it's with Drive Shack, that is developing, still hasn't got to the scale they were hoping to get to, but I think they've got some more funding now, and they're looking to expand. There's one called Atomic Golf that is opened up in Las Vegas. I believe they've opened their doors now. So there are all these other players in the space now that the technology is no longer restrictive to you developing uh, a, a facility, because that was one of the advantages, or the main advantage, that Topgolf had for years, that barrier to entry with the patent on the technology, with that chipped RFID ball. So every single golf ball had that chip inside of it, so it could be tracked. But now, with everything being digitized, whether it's through TrackMan or with in-range golf, or even Topgolf Range, that you don't need that anymore. So all of a sudden, that barrier to entry has been removed, and that's why you're seeing more growth and other players entering the market here. All right, what else do we have here? Tom, again, maybe I should come up and play your pitching, but absolutely, 100%. That's my strength. And the other thing I love about that is I can go out and play in the morning, and whether it's by myself or with some friends, and then we just go for breakfast afterwards. It takes an hour and a half. We play 2 balls. So in a way, we get 36 holes in, and it works on my short game, which is in desperate need of working on. Is why, once again, I'm stuck at a 14 handicap. So all those elements of golf that or the different phases of golf, or those different elements of the golf game, I should say, is like, obviously there's off the tee, so driving, then approach, iron play, chipping and pitching, and putting. So chipping and pitching, that's 60 to 65% of the shots you take on a golf course. Especially the higher the handicap, the more you're taking. So to get good at that is so important in order to become good at the game and get some confidence. And the lower your score, guess what? The more you want to play, because the more fun you're having. And a lot of people step away from golf because they're super frustrated, because they're not getting any better, or they're getting worse. And it's, going out and spending 5 hours and being frustrated and not breaking 100. It's not a lot of fun. Not a lot of fun. Steve, you got a question here. Do you think golf entertainment feeds new players to courses? Well, as I touched on, I don't have the actual stats on that with the conversion. I've talked to many people at Topgolf over the years and some other friends in the industry, and it's more anecdotal right now than anything else. There might be some studies. If there's anybody out there, uh, I know with golf technology business and some other people out there, they may have those type of numbers, and I'd love to hear those. And perhaps I need to do a little more research and some digging. Um, but I know with Topgolf 2 years ago, they did some surveys and they found that over 50% of the 20 million people that attended their facilities, I believe this was 2019, could it be, or yeah, I think it was 2019, so just before COVID. So those numbers, that over half of those people that went to their Topgolf facilities or venues identified as non-golfers, meaning they've never picked up a golf club before, or they play like maybe once every year or so. So they don't play golf. They're not golfers. They occasionally golf or don't golf at all. So just through those sheer numbers, so that's 10 million people, you can then connect them to that next level, which you have to be intentional about that, of course. How do you actually do that? And Topgolf have even said that's not our job to grow the game of golf. We're an entertainment business. We're a for-profit business. But for someone like Callaway that now owns Topgolf, it certainly incentivizes them that the more balls they can sell, the more clubs they can sell, especially at that first positive experience you have at a Topgolf facility. And then you're thinking about playing golf. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't mind playing. And then you go to, a PGA Superstore or a Golf Galaxy or Golf Town up here in Canada, and everything else looks equal. There's all these golf clubs. You've got a certain price point that you're thinking about. You don't know where to start. You're overwhelmed and paralyzed by choice. But you remember that positive experience that you had at Topgolf, and you remember these clubs had this company called Callaway on that if everything else is equal, guess what? You're more than likely going to make that decision to buy some Callaway clubs. Once again, that's just anecdotal. I have no proof points or data to back that up, but that's the way our minds work. That emotional decision making side, that part of our brain remembers those positive memories, and then we'll make that decision associated with how does that feel, what do I remember, rather than those people aren't worrying about spin rates or angle of attack or all those other things that I'm learning about. And I had a fitting that I had with PXG a couple of weeks ago, and had that video on our YouTube channel. So yes, those type of people aren't looking for that, because those type of data points don't mean anything to them. Not at all. Okay, so what else do we have here? So yeah, Steve is like, yeah, Atomic Golf is off and running. Yeah, right now I wish I was able to have you on to actually give you a, give you a voice so I can hear your thoughts on that. But hey, if you want to type them in there and let us know. So I do know, I believe that's John Volbrecht, who I've known through just through our work in golf entertainment over the years. They had opened up, I believe was it in Kansas City or around there? It's in the Midwest. It was called Flying T, and they built one. So this is about 2017 or 2018. And I think that's quite interesting too, that Oklahoma, yes, Steve, thanks. You're obviously more dialed in than I am on this one here. And so, yes, I guess with the consortium that they had and putting this together in Las Vegas, is putting together a more kind of robust team and business case that with Atomic Golf, my understanding, they're not one and done, that Vegas is their first point of landing, I guess you can say, and then they're looking to scale across from the country from there, and perhaps even globally. So Atomic Golf, I haven't had a chance to see that yet. It gives me talking about this, it reminds me I need to circle back with John Volbrecht. And I think it's time now to have him on the Mod Golf podcast. We've talked about that for the last half a decade. So it'd be great to have John on the show to tell us all about Atomic Golf and their aspirations, and also the backstory to that too. So yeah. Well, here we are. We're already a half hour in here. I didn't know if this is going to be a 5-minute conversation or if we're going to go for an hour. I think the way that I'm looking at this is I'm going to keep going, and as long as we've got something to talk about here. And the fact that we've got 5 of us on here and you're all engaged right now, well, I guess 5, I guess 4, including me, is 5. So that's good. So once again, I'm really glad I decided to just do this and not worrying about it. And like I said, it was something that I kind of got away from a little bit and forgot. And I had to remind myself of that, even back, starting the Mod Golf podcast. At the top of this show, I did talk a little bit about that back in 2016 when I had another friend in podcasting in the business space. And for me as an entrepreneur, as I mentioned the backstory with Rip Links and that almost got real big and then it didn't. And then kind of the rock rolled back to the bottom of the hill and it's like, oh, well, what do we do next here? And what did we learn from Rip Links? And now that Rip Links is no longer going to happen, the fact now I've got people that are very interested in Rip Links all over the world now because talk about timing, that things have moved forward, especially on the technology side, and especially what people want from entertainment, with the trends that have emerged over the last 5, 6 years. That that Rip Links is still has still a possibility to exist and to also, as we call in that entrepreneurship space, to pivot a little bit, to refine that everything that we've learned, uh, rather than trying to do the same thing all the time until it happens or doesn't happen. Keep learning about these things that the benefits and the features that people do want, that do resonate. Because the last thing you want to do is create a product or an experience on time, on budget that nobody wants. And sadly, I see that a lot in the golf space and just the startup and entrepreneur space across every single industry sector. And going to the PGA show, and I'm not going to name any companies or names or throw them under the bus, but I see dozens of products there that I don't want to be too harsh here, but they're solutions that are looking for a problem. It's like, well, there's no real pain point there. There's no real business case there. Like, and they're passionate about it, but they've gone down that wrong path, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit. But it's not up to me to actually tell them to stop because, and hopefully they do find it. Hopefully they just pivot and refine as they go, and then unlock where the market is with that. But yeah, with the podcast. So after our first venture in the golf space with Rip Links, I took away some lessons and was going to step back and realized that we were not in the golf industry, which was part of our superpower. The fact that we weren't inside the box, we didn't have to extract ourselves to think about what else could be for a golf venture. But then I also realized that not being in the golf industry, uh, I didn't understand how it worked. I didn't know who the players were. I didn't know, even in the media side, had no experience there. So these were big gaps we had, and we had to learn that. So that was really the main reason why I started the Mod Golf podcast, is so I can connect myself to amazing people like Tom, like Steve, and learn from you and just get connected and get more introductions and create the podcast. And what I've learned in architecture and design is execute at a high level. It's all about the details, that give first mentality of reaching out. I know, Tom, when you and I met, it was a matter of, I wasn't asking for anything. It's like, hey, I'm going to do my best here to tell your story, share it with our audience, execute that at the highest level that I possibly can. And then from that, hopefully you see if I'm able to execute at this level and you start to trust me because I created this thing and with that give first mentality, that down the road with some other ventures, whether it's, hey, Tom, can you connect me with a certain person in this space? Or maybe we'll collaborate one day on something. And Steve, the same thing. We've talked about that. You just never know. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And that's what I've learned, building that social capital. And that's been very, very successful. And I have absolutely no regrets about what I've done. And it just excites me now of taking that next level with what we're doing, not only with the live stream here, but then I think, as both Tom and Steve know, that the live stream is tied into what we're doing with our Mod Golf Patreon, which I just launched also. So people are asking, well, what is Patreon? So it is a membership-based community where I'm adding more exclusive content like this, even though right now I'm putting it out there for free for everybody because I want it to grow. And hey, if you like what you're seeing here, we do have two different paid tiers here, that one at $5 a month and one at $15 a month. And that just helps me have more resources to make it financially sustainable, that I can grow the podcast too. And I've got to tell you, I'm really excited that to celebrate those small wins. And I know, Steve, we had talked about this as far as where you are with sales, with what you're doing with P2G, as we love to call it here. That to set these goals, whether they're realistic or not, of sales of X number of clubs or me having X number of downloads. Celebrate those small wins and those milestones, and you need to do that. And I've had to relearn that also. And in fact, just last month we celebrated 100,000 download mark with the Mod Golf podcast. And I'm not comparing myself to Joe Rogan, who probably gets that every single day or every single week, or Rick Shields, who gets 500,000 views for every single YouTube video that he gets. If you start comparing yourself to other people like that, you're only going to beat yourself up and also not focus on the good things that you're doing. So it's about steady growth, and not only on the 100,000 downloads, and now we almost have 600 downloads per episode as we keep growing and growing. And Tom, people keep listening to your episode because your story, even though it was a couple of years ago that we had you on, it's as fresh today as it was at the time that we recorded that. And I make a point of consistently promoting those back episodes and doing that. And that's why I look back through the analytics and the dashboard for the Mod Golf podcast, and episodes like yours, Tom, it keeps growing and growing, and people keep listening because it's valuable and inspirational, the story that you shared. And that's one of the things as far as the growth of the podcast. It's not about just doing one episode as ones we say, if I did a Masters preview 2024, it's Monday now, I may as well delete that episode because it's done. And that's also a business model. I get that you go for that huge spike every single time. It's that you're just going for the home run, that heavy hitter. But with us, the sustained growth over time, and that's how we get up to almost 600 downloads per episode. And I've even myself is like, well, is that really good? Is that many? But I've actually looked at things like, I'm involved in the business of podcasting now and how we can monetize this and make it more valuable for everybody. And over or less than, how can I put this? If you have 500 downloads per episode within the first month, that is within the top 8%, not of golf podcasts, not of sport podcasts, but of all podcasts. So for me with the Mod Golf podcast, as someone that's independent, I don't have any kind of a radio network distribution deal. I do have channel partners and people like the First Call and Stuart Hall, who are amazing, who help amplify the signal and connect and take the content I produce and promote it through their channels and through their audience, and some other sponsors I have also, whether it's British Columbia Golf and their newsletter of almost 100,000 people on that. That helps. It's significant. So these partners, whether they're paid financial ones to sponsor or not, or just helping in kind here by connecting me to their communities, it's massive. And that's how you grow. And that's one of the things that I've learned. And that takes time and the power of partnerships, and it works. So yes, the fact that the download numbers for the Mod Golf podcast are in the top 8% of all podcasts, that's something I'm pretty darn proud of. And the really exciting thing is it's only going to grow. And with the Patreon page that we're doing here with the community, and once again, treating this as experiments, see what everybody likes or wants, and not just me saying, this is what you're getting and hope you like it. I need to listen and find out where I can add more value for all of you, and just continue to grow and refine as we build this up. But the other milestone last month, so doing this for 7 years now, so what's that, 7 times 12? That's at 84 months. So I get the monthly download numbers. Last month, we had the most downloads per month of any other month ever, over 3,000 downloads in that month. And I only released 3 episodes during that month. So the other exciting thing is this month also, we're only halfway through it here at April 15th. I'm going to shatter that number. Already have over 2,000, I'm getting 2,500 downloads. So we may actually break the 5,000 download month level this month. So it's just really interesting how this is moving forward. I know it's not accidental. I do something called A/B testing, means you kind of try to 2 audiences by tweaking just one variable, because then you can measure to see which one works. If you change 2 or 3 things, just like a golf swing, and then all of a sudden you hit some good shots, you don't know which one worked. So you just need to change one thing at a time. And I found now that one of the things that I've done is obviously working. So guess what? I'm going to be doing more of that. And if we can start doing that with some paid marketing to really spin it up, it's just super exciting of where we can go here with the Mod Golf podcast. And ultimately, my hope and aspiration is that I can bring in uh, enough revenue that I can start to automate a lot more of the pieces. I can start to outsource more of the things that I do, both on the marketing side and the social side. Those of you that know me uh, know that I still do absolutely everything on the podcast. So I edit the audio podcast, do all the video work for better or for worse, because I've got a bit of a background with that, and I've just learned some skills. And as painful as it is every single week to listen to my voice and to edit out every stammer, and that I have in there, and believe me, there are lots of them. That that it just gave me that opportunity to learn that skill and get quite good at it. And now my hope is, as I bring in, like I said, more revenue to scale up, I can outsource those pieces. So just as Tom and Steve, you do on your business, yes, it's great that you're at the kind of the ground level, boots on the ground. You have to learn those skills and kind of put in those hard yards. But ultimately, you need to extract yourself from that so you can work more of that 30,000 foot level, so you can work on the business rather than in the business. And that's how you scale to do. And it's not easy. And there's no, one and done playbook to say, once you reach this level, you activate or unlock that, and yes, start to do that. There's no rules here. You have to figure that out as you go, which as entrepreneurs is challenging sometimes, if not all the time, but that's kind of where we are and what we do. So let me have another look here. What else we have here? Okay, Tom's had to leave us. Tom, great to see you. Yes, definitely. I know you're not on anymore, but love to catch up. And once again, once we start doing these every single week, and once again, I then have this show up to the next level where I'm able to bring guests on and do multi-screen and graphics and all the other stuff. That's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for all that. So Steve, yeah. So does anyone have any questions regarding the automatic Power to Golf Club? Yes, Steve, could actually you put in the chat? Can you put the URL to your website, since I can't have you on here and talk about it? But yeah, I'm gonna give you some love here. So what Steve Lucas created here with Power to Golf. So he's created a club, and hopefully I do the pitch properly for you here, Steve, without any visuals here. So this club that he has, it actually has a what's the best way to describe it? So I don't know if it's pneumatic. Basically, on the face of the club, basically you line up a ball. You don't have to swing. It just actually pops out and shoots the ball down the course. And it's refined in the sense that when you actually trigger this, it can go driver distance. It can go the distance. You can decide if it's going 70 yards or if it's going 250 yards or anything in between here. So the beauty for this, and here, Steve, I love what you're doing. All those people that have either aged out with golf, whether they've got injuries and back problems, a lot of veterans also that actually may not be able to swing a club. A lot of para golfers also. It's such a beautiful thing to bring people back to the game, to have a full golf experience, and using Power to Golf and using the club is the way to go. So Steve, just let me know. Did I do you justice there? Hopefully, I didn't mangle that too much. That got the essence of what you're doing here. Yes, no more barriers to the game. And once again, I know you get a lot of traditionalists, whether they're saying the same with playing pitch and putt, that isn't golf, or me getting a hole in one, which I had that video and had as an Instagram reel of me getting that hole in one. Is that a hole in one? It's 85 yards. No, that doesn't count as a hole in one. And a lot of people saying, heck yeah, that's a hole in one. So what is a golf experience? Playing with Power to Golf, and playing with the club that Steve has developed and has the patent around. 100% that is golf. That is a golf experience. That allows people to get back out on the course and play with friends that are perhaps still fully ambulatory, and they're playing, and like myself, still swinging a club. And that's the beauty of golf. The fact, not only the physical health of it, but also the mental health that it provides, the fact you're getting out there in nature, the fresh air, you're with friends, you're with other people. So you're having that social aspect, you're like, rather than just sitting at home and not being out there when your friends are, just back waiting back at the lounge for 4.5 hours while your friends are out there playing. That you're more active, you're engaged. That dopamine drip that you get from hitting a good shot, and Steve can attest to this. Just because you're using the Power to Golf Club doesn't mean that it's easy. There's still a lot of skill and nuance involved in that, and you still have to be able to shape some shots and figure that out as you go. So let's see what else Steve said here. He goes, yeah, you can hit shots from 25 yards up to 225, which is amazing. And he says most of the clients we serve are golfers that have simply aged out of the game. Exactly, 100%. And I love this so far. Wow, over 4,600 units sold to date, and all about inclusion. And I think at the show, even this year, a couple months ago, Steve, when we talked, especially last year, those numbers have over doubled since where you were. I think you can probably say so. That traction that you're having and starting to really take off, I'm really pleased for you. I'm really happy for you. That's amazing. And once again, it's not setting these expectations of being disappointed in your own mind of saying, Steve, I'll just use an example of saying, "Oh gosh, I was hoping to to sell 50,000 units by now, and that's not where we were hoping to be." The fact you've got that positive trajectory, the fact that where sales are going, uh, are, are positive, and you're just ready to hit that tipping point. I can sense it, and the fact you're getting out there and getting the club in the hands of so many people. Steve, I know we had talked about if you're able to, if you have an extra club, when that time is, if you can send me one, I'd be more than happy to do a YouTube video to play around with the Power to Golf Club. Um, so we can look at doing that. So what else do we have here? Yes, lots of boomers need help. Well, I'm a boomer, and I definitely need help. But you never know with me. I'm still like knock on glass here that I'm so far able to still swing a golf club. But over time, that I probably won't. And rather than just giving up golf, using your club, absolutely, I will embrace that. So I'm still out there having a golf experience and getting all the positive benefits of getting around a golf course with my friends. 100%. There we go. I'll have one shipped to you. Okay, it's going to happen. I guess we're going to do that video. And Steve, 100%. Like I said, over the next couple of weeks, once I figure out kind of the next technology piece, with what they call an encoder. I didn't even know what an encoder was 2 days ago. But so I can put a show together where I can have multiple screens. The production value is a lot higher, and we can do that, and then have you on, show some visuals, even show some video of the Power to Golf Club in action. 100%. We will do that, my friend. We'll make that happen. So you know what? This has been great. I think I'm going to wrap this up here just under the 1 hour mark. I didn't know how long we're going to go, as I said, but I will finish up with saying I think this is a great platform to build community. One thing I realized with the Mod Golf podcast is, and the YouTube channel, it is a one-way kind of information stream. Yes, I do have engagement through the newsletter and some to have conversations with people, but to have a real-time conversation, having this platform, this is great. So the fact is, there's been half a dozen people here having a conversation today. I'm I embrace quality over quantity. Yeah, I like quantity too, don't get me wrong. But the fact we've had a real conversation here in real time, this has been amazing, and it's only going to get better. So this has empowered and emboldened me now. I'm not going to stop on this. We're just getting started. So just like I said with the Mod Golf podcast, the first 7 years of building a community, building awareness, figuring my niche. People say both of that, whatever you want to call that. I say niche, and understanding the value that I add to this community, and the passion that I have for it, and connecting people together. And I think this live stream is a pretty awesome platform to connect people in real time. So yeah, if anyone wants to reach out to Steve, yes, with Power to Golf, as you can see in the chat there. Yeah, connect with him. also with Tom Naramore, who I talked about also, and the good things that he's doing in the golf space too, can connect you. And I'll definitely have Tom on a live stream here. So hey, why don't we finish up with that? And hey, if you have not yet joined our Patreon, please go to www.mod.golf. That's where everything Mod Golf lives. Is probably the easiest way and to find us. And there is a link right there to our Patreon. And like I said, even if you're not in the position right now to join for a paid monthly subscription, we do have a free version there too. Jump on board, join us. Let's create a deep, meaningful, and engaged community here around golf innovation and the future of it and everything we're doing. So, wow, this has been fun. I'm gonna have a second cup of coffee here now, so and do that. So thank you everyone for joining me today. And Steve, I look forward to getting that Power to Golf Club very soon. We'll go offline. I'll give you my address and all that good stuff, and we'll make that happen. So everyone, have a great day, and thanks so much for joining me. I will see you hopefully next week, maybe 2 weeks, but I'm thinking I'm going to do this every single week. So hopefully you join me again. All right, you take care. Have a great day.